Outriders, an out of this world game or a crash landing? Let's find out. Oh, and one more thing. Welcome to the night shift. Let's get you guys clocked in. I don't, like I said, I don't even know for a fact that it is one. But if it is, I want you involved because we have. How's it going, everybody? I'm your shift leader, Logan, and I'm joined with my great friends, Evan and Alan, and we're going to be reviewing Outriders demo that they released earlier this week. Or maybe sometime
No.
last week. I'm not entirely sure. Yes, we are. We're doing the review. We have
Okay.
to.
Yes,
So,
please.
so I guess the question I'm going to ask first off, before we get into any kind of categories or anything like that, is I kind of want to get a rundown of where you guys are at. So, like, you know, I want to know roughly how long you guys have played. You know, what, how you feel about the game. Like, do you like it or not? And if you're for sure gonna get the game when it comes out, like, are you gonna get it, and are we gonna be playing this? So, Evan, let's start with you. You know,
Right.
how long have you played it?
It's hard to tell, but given, I'd say probably close to 15 to 20 hours.
That's a
It's probably a
substantial
little
amount
too
of
much.
time.
I'd say more about 6 or 7 hours because there's not that much content in it.
I mean, that's
But
fair. I mean,
I did level up like 3 out of the 4 classes. So I
okay,
was doing a lot of repeat work.
okay. So you've played about as much of it as you can. So then the
Pretty
question
much.
is, so then the question is, how do you feel about Outriders demo? Did you like it or no?
Well, I guess to keep it short and sweet is I'm optimistic.
That's
As,
fair.
I mean, you told me about this not long ago, and you said that it is exactly the kind of game that I would like. And I'm not gonna lie, you were pretty right. It's got the type of shooting that I like, third person over the shoulder, which
Okay.
I don't know, I like both first person and third person, but it's depending. But it's third person over the shoulder. It's got good shooting, but I think the thing that really draws me in is the fact that it's pretty difficult, even in the early stages.
Yeah.
And it actually requires you to use that cover based mechanic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then my last one is, do you think you're gonna get it when it comes out? Or do you think you're gonna
Uh,
hold off a little bit?
I think I'm gonna get it.
Think so?
Probably not immediately afterwards. It just depends on what type of pre-order bonuses they give, but generally in the recent past, pre-order bonuses haven't been a whole lot. Nothing that would really make me jump at pre-ordering it, unless I mean they could change, and if it does, I might seriously consider it. But for right now, I might hold off for a week or two, let the reviews come in, all the let the players figure out all the bugs and whether this is what we were promised in the demo,
Fair enough. Fair
and then
enough.
make my decision. But if everything is the same as what the developers have promised, I'm probably gonna get it.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Okay, so then, Alan, where do you stand? So how much time have you put into this?
Roughly an hour.
About an
I,
hour.
I've almost maxed a character. I've done all the side quests, played the full story. Honestly, I felt like it was way too easy. Um, but I mean, I fully utilize those cover mechanics. I use my abilities to the best of my ability.
And I know
It's
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I know that you and I chose the same character class, the assassin kind of role, and I I I will kind of agree with you with that assassin role, especially with the abilities they gave you. it's it can get a little bit overpowered and make things a lot easier.
Oh yeah, especially when you get those rushers, the melee characters.
Hmm.
You can train those guys like you could on the old Call of Duty zombies. You can get those guys in a big train and hit one button and just wipe out 10, 12 guys, and
Yeah,
it's no
exactly.
big deal. As far as everything else is concerned, like where I am in the story, I'm returning back to the main base to literally turn in my last quest that's available in the demo.
Hmm. Okay.
But I will
And
say if you use the cover mechanics and you know how to shoot accurately in the game, um, you definitely will do well, and it won't be too much, and it won't be too difficult to get through at least this part.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So then, how do you feel about the game? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Where you at on that?
Honestly, I am one of those that is big into wanting a challenge, but for the lack of challenge that I felt throughout the game, I did have fun. It was a lot of fun. The most challenging thing are those captains for sure.
Yeah.
Even the main big bad guy, he wasn't a problem. That
Well,
first altered you run into, he wasn't a problem, but the captains gave me a lot of problems.
yeah. Well, and I know you said you finished that, and keep in mind too, I know that this is just the demo, and eventually, at a certain point, when the game comes out, it talked about like this world tier system. So the farther in the game you go, the harder your enemies and the world's gonna get. So, you know, maybe this is just a way to get people in and yeah, it's super easy, but then when the actual game comes out and you get past that tier, there's like a it gets much more challenging.
Yeah, I'm
And
at tier 5 expert on my world right now, and that's when I faced the main baddie, and it wasn't even that. I didn't feel like it was that difficult,
yeah,
but I mean,
but if we assume that this is only maybe I
a
wouldn't
tenth
even
of the story.
I don't even know if I feel competent to even say that because if they were willing to show this much of it, right, I feel like it couldn't have been too much.
Oh yeah,
So
if ever a demo is offered, it's never a major part of the game. Nine
yeah,
times out of 10, it's a little snippet. So
yeah.
yeah,
So and then how are you feeling about the game? You think when it comes out you're gonna get it, or you gonna hold off a little bit?
I'll probably check into getting it. I mean, I don't feel like I'm gonna be holding off for too long. Depends on the price point of the release and,
Hmm.
like Evan said, what it comes with if you pre-order or if
Yeah,
you get it on launch.
yeah, I understand. I'll make mine pretty short and simple, just because I want to kind of get into the nitty gritty of what our review's about. But I'm about on par with you, Evan. I'm about 7 or 8 hours in onto the demo. I I didn't necessarily max out a bunch of characters, but I did play quite a bit with my first character, and then I started a second character, and just I kind of just take my time. You know how my play style is very like I'll look around and check out stuff and make sure I'm not missing any droppable items and stuff like that. So I've probably put in just about that much. As for if I like Outriders or not. I actually really enjoyed it. For me, it seemed challenging, but that also comes into the fact that I'm not nearly as tactical as you guys are. So it's kind of the whole retraining thing. So I have to like constantly stop myself from wanting to just charge in and guns a blazing, which is difficult for me. And then I think for sure, I think I'm going to get this game when it comes out. I don't know about pre-orders just because I haven't seen anything marketed to like actually like get you anything special or anything like that. But I'll definitely be keeping my eyes out for any special pre-order bonuses. So with all that being said, let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of this review, right? So, if you haven't been with us for any of our reviews that we've done so far. We review our games on a 4 tier basis. We have gameplay, story, audio and visuals, and any bugs or glitches that we came across on the way. So obviously this is a demo, and I mean, there's not a whole bunch of story that we've seen so far, but from what we've seen so far, guys, how are we feeling about the story?
Um, I've got to say I'm pretty enthralled with it. It's very, I don't know. For me, you know how I take the story in most games. I tend to try and do my best to immerse myself in it,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore it makes it a lot more real for me. And I gotta say, the stakes at where you start the game off is they're pretty high. I mean, Earth is gone uh, by whatever means. Massive climate disasters have essentially made the planet virtually unlivable. Your only hope is two colony ships to that would take what I think about 1 million people, if I understand the lore, to another planet to try and save humanity. And one of those ships is destroyed in Earth's atmosphere, so you're down to just 500,000 human beings left in the entire all of existence. And then you get on, things don't go right, and your character's thrown into cryo freeze for several decades, and you come out and
Craps hit the fan.
the last remnants of humanity are slaughtering each other en masse, and you're caught in this hellscape of alien storms and alien creatures, and it's pretty exciting. I would buy the game just to see how this story is going to play out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the story is very interesting. Uh, I agree. It's I don't know if I'd say I'm completely enthralled yet, but I definitely am interested to see more and find out what's happening for sure. So, uh, so what about gameplay? How are you guys feeling about gameplay? I know, Alan. I know you said earlier that you were you play tactically normally, so you felt like it was easy. So did it just come naturally to you?
Yes and no. So this game is different from what I'm used to. I'm used to first-person games,
Hmm.
Battlefield, Call of Duty, to name a couple, and survival games.
Hmm.
This one kind of took elements, I want to say, from like the Gears of War or the Killzone series.
Hmm.
And I've played one game in either of those series, and that was Killzone 2, I think it was.
I think it was Killzone 3.
It was on the PS3 either way, but it was it was a different experience relearning to play with the third person shooting mechanics.
Yeah.
But all in all, what it came down to was learning how your enemies move, learning how the AI works, and then taking advantage of that. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
And using those covers that the game provides, which you can always tell, it's obvious when you're about to hit a battle area.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was
You'll,
definitely the number one thing. You're like, well, there's unreasonably amounts of like railing around here, so I'm probably gonna be attacked.
yeah, you'll come from an area where there's no cover, nothing, and then you'll step into this big square section with obvious borders and edges and outlines, and you'll just see walls from
Hmm.
your spot, maybe 200, 300 meters away, that are just
Yeah.
like chest high, shoot over, shoot around.
Yeah. And how did you feel about the just the actual like character movement, the controls. Like I know there's abilities and different weaponry. Was that all? Did it all feel okay to you? Not so much. What How was that
Yeah, if
feeling?
you're used to shooters, the control scheme came extremely naturally. The only thing that wasn't natural to me was the fact that there was no crouch feature, no stealth option, just
Oh,
straight up full attack.
yeah, yeah. It's just you would just go straight into cover, like with I believe it was X.
Yes, with the X button, and you would play in a very Gears of War style, no stealth, no tactical movement, get into cover and take out the baddies that spawn. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I'd like
loot
to
crates,
say,
the loot crates were well placed. There was a decent amount of them for sure, as well as the resupply crates, the ammo crates. Those
Yeah, for sure.
they were plentiful. They were well placed, placed in positions where they would be useful and necessary, both in the battle zones and post and pre-battle zone.
Hmm. What were you gonna say, Evan?
well, I was going to say that, and I know Alan's been saying that it's very reminiscent to Gears of War, and I don't know because I've never played that series, but
Hmm.
now that I think about it, it had a very similar combat feel to the Division series because it
Oh,
has a very similar. It's very similar. It has the over-the-shoulder third-person view. There's no crouch feature. It's just move cover to cover and move cover to cover, engage your targets, drop them, and move on.
Yeah.
But the
yeah,
major difference is that.
I can agree with that.
But the major difference is that is in the AI.
Yeah.
Because generally I went into to my first combat encounter expecting the AI to be just your standard AI. They crouch behind their covers and they shoot at you. They maybe start to leapfrog a little closer to you and whatnot, and that's it. I went in it kind of like that. It's like, oh, it's going to be like this, but I got completely blindsided on my first major firefight because unbeknownst to me, I spent most of my time was spent engaging targets directly in front of me. I didn't even realize that at least one or two contacts had completely flanked me on one side and was firing into my left flank. And that threw me for a loop. I actually had to adjust my move covers to get better cover from there plus the targets I was already engaging, and that intrigued me because I haven't really seen a lot of that in PvEAI, and that's one thing about the gameplay that I really want to give the developers props on because it's stuff like that. Plus, you mix in that you get that mixture of ranged enemies plus those rushing enemies that come in with either melee attacks or shotguns and that are heavily armored, or you got the marksmen that are extreme range. It's like, and if anything tripped me up on during those firefights, it was the marksman because if I didn't have those marksmen, I could just maneuver around, use my abilities, and everything would be fine. But once the marksman got thrown into the loop, I couldn't move. I had to stay in cover to not get shot by the marksman, but I couldn't stay in cover either because I was getting pushed from all directions by melee troops and shotgun rushing troops and still getting fired at by the standard rifleman, and it made a very challenging tactical situation for me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Um. So I think we've pretty well covered. I think everything that we want to talk about. I think on gameplay. So how do you guys feel about the audio and visuals of the demo? I mean, for me, visually, I feel like it looks really good, especially since I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, so I get a slight boost to that. But I can also see where I'm hoping there'll be a slight improvement because I know like certain animations are fairly basic. Like I know when you're at the camp, there will like be barrels of fire and the smoke coming out. It just comes out like in full force, and it just does that the whole time, and it's just very, it's a very basic thing.
is it? Is this some sort
visually.
of MMO style game? Is this a multiplayer style game? Is this a story
I
game?
don't know if you guys noticed
Or is
anything
it
on that kind of
a
front.
first-person over-the-shoulder shooter? Well, to be honest, I thought that the graphics were pretty decent. I don't have that same view that you do. I mean, just generally,
Hmm.
but also with the fact that you're on the next gen console
That's true. I
that
mean,
kind of
yeah,
sets itself up as the a completely revolutionary experience as far as video graphics are concerned. So you would
right,
be
but
more of the authority on that.
yeah, but true. But as we know, a lot of people don't have a PlayStation 5 just yet. So, the fact that you guys are playing this on a PS4 is more important than ever because the people want to know how does it look on a PS4 because
Well,
that might be a deciding factor on whether or not they want to get it or not.
personally, I thought the graphics, like, they were stunning. The rendering, like the way they were rendered, the way they were done,
Hmm.
didn't strike me as anything next gen level or worthy just yet. Now, since it is only the demo, those may not be fully fleshed out. They may look much better. They may look absolutely gorgeous when they come up. The world setup, the foliage, the flora and fauna, that was gorgeously done. Um, I really liked the areas, what you could go into, the forested zone that looked gorgeous, the destroyed cities that looked amazing.
Hmm.
However, like I said, it just didn't feel like it was that well done. But for this game, I think there are some major factors you have to think of when a game is developed and designed, and your budgeting has to go into certain factors.
Yeah, of course.
Now, as far as visuals go, I feel like they may have sacrificed an amount of budget for visuals to go into the story and the mechanics. But one thing that definitely needs to be improved upon is the audio lag. When you're in a cutscene, you have your
Oh, definitely.
dialogue, and your dialogue will lag way behind what your character's saying, or certain sound effects are cut in way too late.
Yeah,
Or
I
there's the
completely
double
agree.
audio where you'll say something, stop halfway through your sentence, and then start it
Say
over
it
where the
again.
game
Yeah.
attempts to correct itself.
I think that's something that all three of us I think encountered on our own, like when we were playing by ourselves, and so when you're 3 for 3 on that, it's a problem.
And there
Yeah, I
is
will
one
say
more
it's a
thing to touch
problem.
on with the gameplay,
Yeah.
and that's the fact that this game is 100% not meant to be played solo.
No, no, it's
Like,
heavily influenced
it,
to play together. I mean that
yes,
was
it
even that
is.
was even in their marketing. It's like Outriders together kind of deal. So for
This
sure.
is definitely meant to be like an RPG squad-based game where you have your tank, your damage, you've
Hmm.
got your tank, your DPS, your support.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I can already think of several scenarios where when I was playing by myself, like where I just went, oh yeah, if I had just had a tank to take some enemy damage off of me, I could have done this a whole lot easier. Or if I had a
Yeah.
healer, I that would have helped a little bit too. So I completely agree. It's meant to be a squad based kind of game. So, um,
Um,
aside from
aside from that, that's it.
okay, yeah. Aside from the audio sync issues and everything like that, are there any other kind of like bugs and glitches that you guys noticed? I know, like, for me on the PlayStation 5, I don't know if it's just for the fact that it's like too quick for the game or I'm moving too fast. But occasionally I'll see a slight render issue where like I'll see like maybe like the ceiling or something like that pop in real quick. Uh, but aside from really that, I don't think I ran into anything really else, just except for that really bad audio sync.
Uh, with me, I don't think I really saw any glitches besides the that audio sync issue.
Actually, I, now that you say that, Evan, I did actually I remember a conversation you and I did have though. I don't know if you even remember it, but it was when you first started playing. You went to play and you were in the beginning mission, and the rocks that you were supposed to be able to move out of the way. You were having trouble.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there was one glitch in the mission, in one of the missions where you, in between the different firefight arenas, you'll have to hit a prompt and remove certain debris to clear your path to move to advance to the
Mhm.
next area. And in that situation, it wasn't gonna, it wasn't letting me do it. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't getting a prompt. I wasn't getting anything. I knew I was supposed to do something, but it wasn't allowing me to do anything. And I had to, I think I had to completely, I had to restart the entire game in order to
Huh.
get it to work again.
Yeah. That I mean,
You
that's a
know,
pretty.
from the perspective of the guy who has everything glitch and go wrong that can go wrong, I don't think I really had any glitches that I can complain about on this game.
Well, that's. I mean, hey, I'm just glad that that worked out that way. I mean,
For Yeah, this coming from the guy that falls through maps, glitches through ceilings, ends up stuck in walls, suffocates in midair on various survival games. Yeah,
yes. I
I
mean,
can't say I had anything go majorly wrong as far as glitches or anything.
that's good.
A
Um,
couple of bugs. There were a couple of invincible enemies at times that it literally just took a certain action or a certain one of my skills to reset them back to a vulnerable state. But
Hmm. Yeah. I mean that. I mean that's good though that you were able to play it without any major bugs or issues. So then that way you can just kind of really enjoy the game the way it's meant to be played. So, all right, I think we've fairly accurately covered everything. So now for the part where everyone's come for, right? So now I just need a score from each of you for each of our categories so we can kind of figure out where does the Outriders demo kind of fall for us, right? So in terms of story, in a 1 to 10 score rating, where would you guys put that?
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10.
A 7. Okay, it's a pretty good score.
I'm actually one to agree. That's actually what I was going to say. As far as story's
7.
concerned, I think it was pretty good. 7.
Ironically, and I'm not just going with the crowd. I was thinking 7, 7.5. So let's just say an even 7 from all three of us. So story was, I mean, in my opinion, the story was good. There's always room to grow, and I mean the fact that it's just a demo means that there's definitely going to be some sort of increase later down the road. So the fact that the story was this good for just a demo was amazing. So
Yeah, from what I've seen, I really would have liked to have had more time and exploration in that forested area, but from the trailers and from the little video it gives you near the end of the demo, I feel like we're gonna end up going back to that zone at some point or those types of zones.
for
So
sure, for
I
sure.
guess I can't complain too much.
See, and that's where I'm confused because I could have sworn originally this was supposed to be like a open world game, but maybe they changed their mind later or something. I'm not
Well, I
entirely
would
sure.
like to say that it's still just a demo, and there was still somewhat of an open world feel to it. It's just
Yeah, yeah,
really, really constricted. So I would hold off on saying that maybe they didn't until the full game comes out and we can actually see.
for sure, for sure, for sure. So how about gameplay? How do you guys feel about scoring gameplay there?
Again, I think I'll put it at a 6.5 or 7. It it was good, not the best, but I can't knock it too much. So,
Well, I'd say probably like a 5.5 or 6, only for the fact that I'm just remembering it now, and that I should have said during the bugs and glitches thing, is that the snap to cover mechanic is a little janky. There were several times in which I wanted to get to a specific point of cover, and I ended up taking cover on a completely opposite side that left me completely open to enemy fire. And I guess maybe that's just par for the course in these types of games, but my point still stands. I'd say about
Yeah,
five and a half, 6.
I understand. I see. For me, this was difficult for me because on one hand, I really liked the gameplay because it was different from anything else I was playing, and I liked the fact that they were trying to challenge me, but at the same time, I I was running into a lot of issues like you were saying, Evan, where like I would try and snap to cover and it would snap me to something else, or like I would try and snap to cover and then if I moved my analog stick at all, I was out of cover. And so then I'm in trouble because now I'm just standing there like an idiot, getting shot. And so I'll give it a 6 just because I feel like it deserves that. But at the same time, I was running into quite a few issues. So I think with everyone's scoring, I think what gameplay rounds in at about a 6, 6.5, somewhere around there.
For sure.
About, yeah.
So then audio and visuals, how are we feeling about that? Because I know for me, that's I think going to be my lowest score just because of all the audio sync issues, and I know it has nothing to bear weight later on when the game actually comes out because I I'm hoping that they fix all that before then. But for this demo, it was bad. It was really really bad.
I'm willing to agree. I don't really have any problems with the visual side of it, but the audio is my main issue. And I know that we talked about this earlier when you said that it's really gonna hurt them in the long run, this audio sync issue, and I was kind of trying to defend it that it's not as much of a big deal. And I have to admit that I was wrong when I tried to defend it. I didn't think it was going to be that much of an issue at the beginning, and it really wasn't. But as it went on, it just cut into my immersion. Not a lot, but
Hmm.
it was enough to pull me out of that 100% immersion that I like to be in when I play games like this. So I'd
Yeah,
say it's about like a probably a 4, three and a
yeah.
half.
I was gonna say 4 as well. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty low score for me.
So, from my perspective, I'm gonna give it a. I would happily give it a 6 on visuals,
Hmm.
but a 2 on the audio.
Yeah,
Like I said, the locations were stunning. They were breathtakingly amazing. Like they were well thought out, well planned. They
yeah, for
looked like
sure.
they were gonna turn out really well. But what really did it in for me were those audio issues because they were just way too abundant and they were just constantly there causing an issue. And
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I completely agree. I mean,
like
I
the
think
full
that's kind of
desync where, like the full desync with that one gunshot during the cutscene where it was a literal scene late.
yeah. Oh yeah. And then and it's just like it completely takes you out of it because it's like, oh well, yeah, I'm definitely playing a game now. Like
Yeah, right.
instead of because it's supposed to be like a oh crap, you actually did that, and
Yeah.
instead it's like, oh well,
Well, he's dead. Did he shoot him or did he just have a heart attack?
yeah, I
Oh, he
mean,
shot him.
yeah, yeah. I completely agree. The audios for this game are horrendous, but then the visuals are really really good. I like I said earlier, there's a few things I'm nitpicking about, but again, this is just a demo, so that's all subject to change. But I completely agree. The world itself is very well thought out, And so I think that's where I get that 4 from, because just because the audio is so bad, I start to like really, give it a lot of like, just it docks it a lot, and I kind of wish it didn't. But so
It's one
where
of
did
those things.
yeah? So where does your score round out for both of them? Like, since you said your visuals was like a 6, uh, but then your
Audio was a
audio was
2,
2. Yeah,
so it'd round out at roughly a 4.
yeah. So 4's pretty much across the board for the audios and visuals. We've got 6 for gameplay, and then I think 7 for story. So where do you guys kind of feel in terms of the overall score for it? Because if we take just those scores into account, I'm feeling like the Outriders demo comes in at an average of like what, 6?
I'd
Yeah,
say that's
roughly.
about right.
Yeah. So, and I think that just comes into the fact that the story was so good and got us at that 7 score point, and then the fact that the audios and visuals brought us down to a 4.
Yeah,
So,
that's something I really feel like their major focus was definitely on the story. And
hmm
And I can
yeah,
respect that.
yeah, and I mean, this is definitely a story-driven game, which is, like you've heard me say a million times over, Evan. One of the most important, if not the most important, factor of a game. So I'm all
Yes,
in.
and I
I'm
agree.
all in. I'm all in for them to, double down on story.
And
So
honestly, I could say I know that we have slight disagreement on this, but considering that the gameplay is still pretty decent, I'm willing to agree with you on this one.
yeah. So there it is, folks. I mean, Outriders demo. It's a really fun game to play. I mean, it's free to play, so get your hands on it. Try it out. Keep in mind, it's definitely probably not what we're going to see when the actual game comes out at the end of this month. But here at the night shift, we're going to score to 6 overall, and we heavily enjoyed it. We'll probably play it, here and there just for the heck of it until the actual game comes out. But that's all we've got for it. If you guys like what we're doing, like our reviews, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And see you guys next time.